with Jeffrey Epstein on multiple occasions. And the senator sitting right next to you tried to block the flight logs from being released. Yet you're grilling me on President Trump and some photograph with Epstein?
Are you curious about the real reason behind why things escalated this much? Let's answer this question together. Senator Whitehouse began his questioning towards the end of the hearing. Many senators had previously pressed Attorney General Bondi on various issues. He opened with a question focused on a specific category of evidence related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. The Treasury compiles suspicious activity reports, often referred to as SARs, which the Department of Justice receives automatically. There were hundreds related to the bank accounts of the central figure in that case. How many of these Treasury SARs have you or Director Patel investigated? Bondi did not provide a number. Senator, I don't know if your concern is that you received money from Reid Hoffman, one of his closest confidants, not once but twice in 2018 and 2024. If this is true, she continued. But Senator, in the last 4 years, when Merrick Garland was sitting before you, did you ask him any of these questions? Whitehouse tried to redirect. Why shouldn't I ask you? Bondi continued. There was an ongoing investigation. This investigation was closed. Did you ask Alex Acosta about this? In these seconds of the session, we witness how the tension escalates step by step. Strategic moves are coming one after another. Whitehouse pressed on the main point. You and Patel said you would investigate this when you took office. There were hundreds of suspicious activity reports. Some people might conclude from the fact that they are called suspicious activity reports that there might be suspicious activities. Yet you appear to have looked at 0 of these suspicious activity reports related to the accounts in question. 0. That was the number Whitehouse put on record. Not some, not a few. 0 investigated. Then he moved to physical evidence. Let me ask you something else. There are public reports that he showed people compromising photographs of President Trump. Do you know whether the FBI found these photographs in their search of his safe or properties or otherwise? Have you seen anything like this? The question was direct.
Come on.
The question is, did the FBI find those photographs that have been discussed publicly by a witness who claimed Jeffrey Epstein showed them to him? You don't know anything about that. Okay.
Did the FBI find these photographs? Have you seen them? Bondi immediately responded.
Who was with Jeffrey Epstein on multiple occasions. And the senator sitting right next to you tried to block the flight logs from being released. Yet you're grilling me on President Trump and some photograph with Epstein?
You know, Senator Whitehouse, you're sitting there making scandalous statements, once again trying to slander President Trump from every direction, when you're the one who received money from one of the financier's closest confidants. She brought up Reid Hoffman again. I believe, I could be wrong, Reid Hoffman was with him many times, and the senator sitting right next to you tried to block the release of flight logs. Yet you're questioning me about a photograph of President Trump and him? Come on. Whitehouse narrowed his question. The question is, did the FBI find those photographs that are publicly discussed, which a witness claims he showed them? Do you know nothing about this? Another detail that should not be overlooked is how the questions are framed. It's very clear that each word is chosen carefully and deliberately. Bondi did not answer the question about the photographs. Whitehouse said, okay, and moved to another topic. First, Treasury Suspicious Activity Reports are financial documents that institutions file when they detect potentially suspicious transactions. Whitehouse stated that hundreds existed related to these specific accounts. He asked how many the Department of Justice, or FBI, investigated under Bondi and Patel's management. Bondi did not provide a number or explain any investigative activity taken regarding these reports. Second, photographs allegedly depicting President Trump in a highly compromising context that a witness publicly claimed the financier showed them. Whitehouse asked whether the FBI found these photographs in searches of the properties, including his safe. He asked whether Bondi had seen such photographs. She characterized the question as scandalous and an attempt to slander the president, but did not confirm or deny whether such photographs were seized or whether she had seen them. The questions were factual. How many SARs were investigated? Did the FBI find the photographs? Both could have been answered with numbers or yes, no responses. Both remained unanswered in terms of the factual information requested. She made multiple references to campaign contributions received from Reid Hoffman. She stated that Hoffman was a close confidant. She asked why Whitehouse didn't press these questions to former Attorney General Merrick Garland or to Alex Acosta, who had been involved in an earlier related case. She claimed that Democratic senators blocked the release of flight logs. None of these responses addressed how many SARs were investigated or whether the photographs were found. Whitehouse did not engage with the Reid Hoffman references. After Bondi's first non-answer, he re-asked the photograph question in simpler terms. Do you know nothing about this? This also went unanswered, and he moved to another topic. The suspicious activity reports Whitehouse referenced are standard Treasury Department documents. Financial institutions file them with the Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network when transactions appear suspicious. Law enforcement, including the Department of Justice, receives these reports automatically. Whitehouse stated hundreds existed for the accounts in question. His question was how many were investigated after Bondi and Patel took office. The photographs Whitehouse asked about came from public reports. A witness had publicly stated that they were shown such photographs. By framing his question around whether the FBI found them in searches, Whitehouse made this a question about physical evidence seizure, not about commentary or allegations. Both questions targeted specific categories of seized or existing records. SARs were financial documents already in the government's possession through Treasury. The photographs, if they existed, would have been physical evidence seized during the FBI searches. In Bondi's July memo, referenced in earlier exchanges with other senators, she stated that the Department of Justice and FBI had not found an incriminating client list. But Whitehouse wasn't asking about a client list. He was asking about financial reports and photographs, entirely different categories of evidence. During this time, two specific questions about investigative records were asked, questioned, restated, and left without factual answers. One must pay attention to the difference between the nature of the question asked and the content of the answer received. This situation actually summarizes the general course of the hearing. Both sides are standing their ground firmly, refusing to yield an inch. But as the clock ticks down, the core questions remain hovering in the air. Whitehouse characterized the response as suggesting 0 SARs were investigated. Bondi did not dispute this characterization or provide different numbers. Whitehouse asked again more directly. Bondi did not answer whether the photographs were found or whether she had seen them. In these minutes, when the mutual statements intensified, the debate suddenly evolves into a different dimension. Then Whitehouse said, okay, and moved to a different topic about the Marshal Service investigating threats against judges. Question about specific evidence or records. Response about the questioner's behavior or connections. Restatement of the question about evidence. Continued response about the questioner. Move to next topic. What happened to the hundreds of Treasury SARs? How many were investigated? The exchange did not produce answers to these questions. Did the FBI find photographs in the safe searches? Did Bondi see such photographs? The exchange did not produce answers to these questions either. Bondi raised questions about whether Whitehouse received money from Reid Hoffman in 2018 and 2024. She stated that Hoffman was one of the financier's closest confidants. She suggested that Whitehouse should have asked these questions to previous officials. She characterized Whitehouse's photograph question as an attempt to slander President Trump. Whitehouse did not address any of these points. He asked about SARs. he asked about photographs. When answers were not provided, he moved on. Senator Whitehouse's time expired. The hearing continued with other senators. The Treasury Suspicious Activity Reports and the photographs from the safe remain unaccounted for in terms of information provided to the committee during that exchange. You, as a viewer, decide whether the questions or the answers given were more effective. I would be pleased to see your theories about this topic in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel.